If you find yourself waking up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. regularly, you might be wondering what it means. This time of the morning is often referred to as the witching hour. From a scientific and neurological perspective, this waking period can provide profound insights into your mind and body. So let's dive into what might be happening when you wake up during these early hours and how it relates to your overall well-being and personal transformation. First, let's understand the basics. The body operates on a natural circadian rhythm, which is a 24-hour cycle influencing various biological processes, including sleep and wakefulness. This rhythm is deeply connected to the brain's cycles of activity and rest. When you wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., it often signifies a disturbance in this rhythm, and there are several key areas where this could be happening. One important aspect is the relationship between your subconscious mind and your daily experiences. The time between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. is often linked to the body's ability to process emotional and psychological stress. According to neuroscience, the brain's wiring and its patterns of activity can be influenced by our emotional states. If you're waking up during this time, it might be because your brain is working through unresolved emotional issues or stress that you haven't fully processed during the day. During this time, your brain is in a specific state of activity. It's neither fully awake nor fully asleep, but rather in a state of transition. This state can make it easier for your subconscious mind to surface unresolved issues or emotional patterns that need attention. It's as if the brain is trying to bring these issues to your conscious awareness before you fully awaken. This can be both a challenge and an opportunity for growth. Consider this. When you wake up in the middle of the night, your mind is in a state where it's less influenced by daily distractions and more in touch with deeper layers of consciousness. This is a prime time for introspection and self-awareness. You may find that your mind starts to reflect on unresolved emotions, past experiences, or even future goals. This period of early morning awakening could be a signal from your body and mind that there are important internal processes happening that need your attention. From a neurological perspective, the early morning hours between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. can offer significant insights into your mental and emotional state. Understanding what happens in your brain during this time can help explain why you might experience certain feelings or thoughts during these hours. Research shows that during this early morning period, your brain's electrical activity undergoes noticeable changes. These changes are linked to the different stages of sleep and waking states. Let's break down what happens in your brain during these hours and how it can affect your emotional and mental state. While you are sleeping, your brain goes through several stages. One of these stages is deep restorative sleep, which is crucial for physical and mental recovery. This is when your body repairs itself and your mind processes the day's experiences. After spending time in deep sleep, your brain transitions into lighter stages of sleep or even starts waking up. This transition period is crucial because it can influence how you feel and think during these hours. During this transition, your brain waves shift from the slow, steady patterns seen in deep sleep to the faster, more irregular patterns associated with lighter sleep and waking states. This shift can make your brain more sensitive to emotional experiences and thoughts. In this state, you might find that your emotions are heightened or that certain thoughts and feelings become more prominent. These could be things you're not fully aware of during the day when you're more actively engaged in daily activities. The early morning hours are when your subconscious mind becomes more active and communicative. The subconscious mind is the part of your mind that operates below your conscious awareness. It holds on to deep-seated beliefs, memories, and emotions that influence your thoughts and behaviors. During this transition phase, the subconscious mind can come to the forefront, making you more aware of underlying issues or feelings. For example, you might wake up feeling unusually emotional or have vivid dreams that bring up unresolved feelings. These experiences can be a reflection of what's happening in your subconscious mind, Because your brain is moving from deep sleep to lighter states, it can bring these buried thoughts and emotions to the surface, making them more noticeable to you. Now let's dive deeper into the significance of these early morning wake-ups in terms of transformation and personal growth. If you're consistently waking up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., it might be a sign that your body and mind are trying to signal you about the need for inner change. This is a time when you can reflect on your life and ask yourself if you're living in alignment with your true self or if there are aspects of your life that need to be addressed. One powerful way to use the early morning wake-up time for personal growth is to engage in practices that help you connect with your inner self. This time, when the world is still quiet and calm, can be perfect for deep, reflective practices like meditation. Let's explore why meditation during these early hours can be so effective and how it can benefit your personal growth. Meditation is a practice where you focus your mind and quiet your thoughts to achieve a state of deep relaxation and clarity. When you meditate, you create a peaceful space where you can tune out external distractions and turn your attention inward. This is especially beneficial during the early morning hours, when the environment is calm and free from the usual hustle and bustle of the day. During these early hours, your mind is often clearer and more receptive. This makes it an ideal time for meditation because you can enter a deeper state of relaxation more easily. In this relaxed state, you may find it easier to access your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is where many of your deep-seated beliefs and feelings reside, often influencing your behavior and emotions without you being fully aware of it. When you meditate in the early morning, you have the opportunity to uncover and address these subconscious issues. As you meditate, you might begin to notice thoughts, feelings, or patterns that have been affecting you. This awareness can provide valuable insights into what changes might be needed in your life. For instance, you might realize that certain fears or doubts are holding you back from pursuing your goals. Recognizing these issues is the first step towards addressing them and making positive changes. Meditation also helps you gain clarity on how to align with your higher self. Your higher self represents your most authentic and true self, the part of you that is connected to your deepest values and desires. When you meditate, you can tap into this part of yourself and gain a clearer understanding of what you truly want and need in your life. This clarity can guide you in making decisions and taking actions that are more in line with your true self. Another effective method for using the early morning hours between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. is to engage in affirmations or visualization exercises. These practices can have a powerful impact on your mindset and personal growth. Let's break down how affirmations and visualization work and why they are so beneficial. Affirmations are positive statements that you repeat to yourself. They help reinforce your goals and beliefs by focusing your mind on what you want to achieve. For example, if you want to build confidence, you might repeat affirmations like, "I am confident and capable," or "I believe in myself." When you say these statements, you are sending positive messages to your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind then starts to believe these statements as true, which can lead to real changes in your behavior and attitude. During those early morning hours, when your mind is more open and less cluttered, repeating affirmations can be especially effective. This is because your brain is in a state where it is more receptive to new ideas. By focusing on affirmations during this time, you can start to rewire your brain. This means that you are helping your brain form new neural connections that align with your goals. Over time, these positive affirmations can help shift your subconscious patterns, leading to lasting changes in how you think and feel. Visualization is another powerful tool you can use during this period. Visualization involves creating vivid mental images of your goals and dreams. For example, if you want to achieve a career milestone, you would spend some time visualizing yourself successfully reaching that goal. Picture yourself in detail, imagining the sights, sounds, and feelings associated with your success. By regularly practicing visualization, you are training your brain to believe in your ability to achieve these goals. When you visualize your goals, your brain starts to create new neural pathways that support these goals. This means that your brain begins to align with your vision of success, making it easier for you to take actions that will lead to your desired outcomes. Visualization helps you stay focused and motivated as you continually remind yourself of what you are working towards. By combining affirmations and visualization, you can enhance their effects. Affirmations help you maintain a positive mindset, while visualization provides a clear picture of your goals. Together, they reinforce each other and help create a powerful momentum towards personal growth. It's important to practice affirmations and visualization regularly to see the best results. When you do this consistently, you are reinforcing positive thoughts and images in your mind. This practice helps you build new neural pathways that support your goals and dreams. As these pathways become stronger, it becomes easier to stay focused and motivated. Affirmations and visualization are not just about thinking positively. They are about actively shaping your mindset and behaviors. By creating new mental habits, you are making it easier for your brain to support your goals and ambitions. This process can lead to significant changes in how you approach challenges and opportunities in your life. It's also important to consider the role of stress and emotional baggage in these early morning awakenings. Emotional stress can disrupt your sleep patterns and lead to frequent waking during these hours. If you're dealing with unresolved emotional issues, it might be helpful to work on strategies for emotional regulation and stress management. Techniques such as journaling, deep breathing exercises, or talking to a therapist can help you process and release emotional stress, which can, in turn, improve your sleep quality and reduce the frequency of early morning awakenings. In addition, this early morning period can be an opportunity to engage in self-reflection and personal growth. When you wake up during this time, it's a chance to ask yourself important questions about your life and your goals. What are the areas in your life that you need to focus on? Are there any limiting beliefs or patterns that are holding you back? Use this time to reflect on these questions and consider the changes you want to make in your life. Another important thing to think about is keeping a consistent sleep schedule. A regular sleep pattern is key to maintaining a healthy circadian rhythm, which is your body's natural sleep-wake cycle. When your sleep schedule is consistent, it helps your body know when it's time to sleep and when it's time to wake up. This can make a big difference in how well you sleep and how refreshed you feel in the morning. If you often find yourself waking up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., it might be a sign that your sleep schedule needs some adjustments. Waking up during these hours can be a common issue for many people, and it can sometimes be linked to irregular sleep habits. To improve your sleep and reduce these early morning awakenings, consider evaluating and adjusting your sleep routine. One of the best ways to support a balanced sleep pattern is to make sure you go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. This means setting a regular bedtime and wake-up time and sticking to it, even on weekends. For example, if you decide to go to bed at 10 p.m. and wake up at 6 a.m., try to follow this schedule every day. By doing so, you help regulate your body's internal clock, making it easier for your body to fall asleep and stay asleep throughout the night. Having a consistent sleep schedule can also help improve the quality of your sleep. When your body gets used to a regular sleep pattern, it can enter deeper and more restorative sleep phases, which are essential for feeling well-rested. Deep sleep helps your body repair itself and your mind process the day's experiences, leading to better overall health and energy levels. If you notice that you're still waking up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. despite having a regular sleep schedule, there may be other factors affecting your sleep. For example, stress, diet, or even your sleeping environment can play a role in how well you sleep. It's a good idea to look at these factors and see if there are any changes you can make to improve your sleep. Finally, it's essential to recognize that waking up, so if you have a negative charge and a positive charge, then you're going to have an electrical current running between the two and a field around that current. In the universe, really, stars connect through plasma. Everything connects through plasma. So when you start seeing these complex patterns, it's an impression from that plasma that's being pressed into three-dimensional reality. And so if you take 3 stones, right, and you drop them at the same time into a plate, and you freeze the water in the plate, and those 3 stones fall, and they start producing concentric rings, and they start interfering with each other, you're starting to get complex pattern of interference. If you take a light and you shine it through that frozen piece of matter, when you shine the light through it, when the light shines through it, the laser shines through it, you will see the appearance, a hologram of those 3 stones projected out into space. That's exactly how reality is. So then reality then is a projection, right? And so then when you study matter, it's not matter that's emitting a field. It's actually those complex patterns that are creating matter. So then you don't change the tumor. The tumor is the effect of the pattern in the field. Change the field, you change matter. So teaching people how to do that, when they change the pattern in the field and it starts to appear as change in three-dimensional reality, the illusion is everybody's been trying to change matter. And so it's not that. So it starts changing the way you see things, right? Because disease then is an incomplete pattern. It is a fractal pattern that's lost order, that's lost coherence, that's lost centropy, that is fragmented, can we say? You could say it's broken down, it's disorderly, it's chaotic. You know, and I don't know, you can use the example of Imhotep crystals as a good example. When you see gratitude, you see those beautiful geometric patterns. When you see anger, when you see pain, you see this weird pattern that's not solid, it's not coherent. So then why not practice brain and heart coherence? Because you're creating a lot of order out of disorder. And as you do that better and better and you're functioning from a different consciousness, you'll begin to interact with information that's beyond your senses. Most of our thoughts and feelings come from our past experiences. They come from our memories. In fact, your brain is organized to reflect everything you know in your life. Your brain is a record of all the things you've learned and experienced to date. It's an artifact. And when you have an experience, when you're in the midst of an experience, all of your 5 senses plug you into the external environment. And as your brain is processing all of this vital sensory data, all of that information rushes back to the brain. And when it reaches the brain, it causes jungles of neurons to organize themselves into networks, to string into patterns, to reflect their interaction with their external environment. The moment those neurons organize into patterns, the brain makes a chemical, and that chemical is called a feeling or an emotion. And so experiences tend to create more long-term memories because it patterns or stamps or embosses networks of neurons into very specific patterns. And then the emotional quotient helps us to remember the event. So we learn something new intellectually. We also cause networks of neurons to form. I mean, the Nobel Prize laureate Kandel in the year 2000 found that when people learn just one bit of information, they doubled the number of connections in their brain from 1,300 connections to 2,600 connections. So if they didn't review that information or repeat it, the connections pruned apart. So we know then that learning semantic information begins to organize circuitry in the brain, and experiences enrich the brain. The end product of experience, of course, is the emotion, and it causes us to feel certain ways. And the moment you felt altered or you felt differently, significantly, your brain perked up and you paid attention to whatever caused that. And that event in and of itself is called a memory. So then most of our thoughts and feelings tend to be within the neural circuitry of the past and the emotions of the past chemically. So if you take a thought, thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body, and how you think and how you feel creates a state of being. So if you combine a thought and a feeling, a thought and a feeling, a thought and a feeling, and you have a series of good thoughts that are connected to a series of good feelings, that cycle of thinking and feeling creates what's called an attitude. If you have a series of negative thoughts that are connected to some pretty bad feelings, you'll say you have a pretty bad attitude today. So if how you think and how you feel creates a state of being, your attitudes are just shortened states of being. You feel good in the morning, you feel bad in the afternoon. If you take an attitude, an attitude, an attitude, and you begin to string attitudes together, when you combine an attitude, an attitude, an attitude, you start to form what's called beliefs. Now, a belief is just a thought you keep thinking over and over again until you hardwire it in your brain. And because beliefs are based on past experiences, the very boundaries of our beliefs are how we feel. And so when our beliefs get challenged, it typically doesn't feel right. I know from the research that we've done that the redundancy of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking over time, for example, a person has an insecure thought, then they feel insecure. The moment they feel insecure, they think more insecure thoughts. They fire and wire more circuits in their brain to feel more chemicals of insecurity. And then once they're feeling insecure, they think more insecure thoughts. And they do this over and over again. The redundancy and the repetition of that cycle over time conditions the body to subconsciously become the mind. Once the body becomes the mind, that's called a habit. It turns out that 95% of who we are by the time we're 35 years old are a set of habituations, unconscious thoughts, unconscious behaviors, unconscious emotional reactions that function like a subconscious computer program. So back to beliefs. An attitude are shortened states of being, and you combine them together then. Then a belief, then, the cycle of thinking and feeling over time creates a subconscious state of being. I don't move past the word visualization because I think it kind of conjures up a little bit too much of a spiritual association. The word that's used in science is called mental rehearsal. In mental rehearsal, there's two types of mental rehearsal. There's what's called internal mental imaging, which means you're in the scene as the first person experiencing it. And then there's called external mental imaging, which is you're observing yourself in the scene. It turns out that when you are actually in the first person and not the third person, that action of rehearsing what you're doing produces the strong biological change. Now let's talk about this. You can take a group of people that have never played the piano before, and you can do a functional brain scan on them, and then you can teach them one-handed scales and chords, and they'll practice those chords 2 hours a day for 5 days. At the end of 5 days, they grow a whole new set of circuits on the opposite side of the brain. Well, that makes sense. You learn something new. Learning is making new synaptic connections. You get your body involved with some instruction. When you get your body involved, you're going to have a new experience. Experience enriches the brain. You pay attention to what you're doing. You've got to pay attention. You have to stay present. And if you repeat it over and over again, firing and wiring, you assemble new networks of neurons equal to your experience. Nothing new there. But you can take a group of people and you can have them close their eyes to a brain scan on them before the experiment. 5 days later, do a brain scan after. And for 2 hours a day, they mentally rehearse playing those scales and chords. At the end of 5 days, they grow the same amount of circuits in their brain as the people actually physically doing the exercise. So what's the relevance? Number one, when you're truly focused and you're truly paying attention, your brain does not know the difference between what's going on out there and what's going on in here. So the thought becomes the experience, and the brain looks like it's been playing the piano for the last 5 days, but they never lifted a finger. Now, from a biological standpoint, our brains are a record of the past. They're an artifact of everything we've learned and experienced to this moment. When we prime the brain to change its circuitry before the experience, now the brain is no longer a record of the past. It's now a map to the future. And so as we warm up those brain circuits, it's more easy for us to slip into a supernatural behavior. If you take those people and you set them from the piano, and they've never played the piano before, but they've been mentally rehearsing for the last 5 days, they'll play those scales and chords. Like magic, they just learned how to do it just by changing their internal state. Take a group of men. You can have them close their eyes, and for an hour a day, mentally rehearse doing bicep curls over and over again, and they add an emotional component called harder, stronger, more intense, and they put themselves in that first-person, internal, mental image. At the end of 2 weeks, they have a 13.5 increase in muscle strength, and they've never performed the activity. Not only is the brain changed to look like the experience has already occurred, now the body has changed by thought alone. The body looks like it's been working out for the last 2 weeks. So then the power of mental rehearsal, of imaging, primes the brain and body to look like the future has already occurred. And when you set the extent of your limit, and you can image what you can do even further than what's normal, then you are stepping into the unknown. And of course, then your body is going to follow your mind because the experience has already happened. You know, the challenge behind all of this is that people have to understand that there is a journey that they have to take. In other words, 95% of who we are by the time we're 35 years old is a set of memorized behaviors, emotional reactions, beliefs, perceptions, attitudes, behaviors that function like a subconscious computer program. 95% of who we are is a habit, and it's programmed in the body to keep doing something so many times the body knows now how to do it better than your brain. Here are 2 very important windows that open up that allow your body and your brain to be more suggestible to information. That is when you wake up in the morning, your brain waves go from very slow delta to theta to alpha to beta. And when you go to bed at night, you go from beta to alpha, theta, delta. So you slide up the scale when you wake up, and you slide down the scale when you go to bed at night. And most people, when they go to bed at night, they just go from beta right down the delta. They fall very quickly. You can teach people then how to just sit and slow everything down and begin to visualize, begin to affirm, begin to change their thought, to begin to work with their body. And it seems, according to our research, that those changes can last. So what do most people do when they wake up in the morning? Your brain is a record of the past. It's an artifact, a memory bank of everything you've learned and experienced to this moment. So people wake up in the morning and they start thinking about their problems. And those problems are memories in the brain that are connected to certain people and certain things at certain times and places. So they wake up in the morning and they start thinking in the past. Now, the moment they start having those thoughts, every one of those experiences has an emotion associated with it. So when they start thinking about their problems or the problems of the world or the problems of their body or whatever it is, problems at work, they all of a sudden start to feel the correlated emotion. So now their body's in the past. So now people then get caught up in an emotion. They reaffirm their identity. They could wake up in the morning and feel nothing at all. And then all of a sudden they say, well, wait a second, I've got to get back to myself. So they start thinking about their problems, and here come the emotions. And they say, oh, now I feel like me again. So those emotions then begin to influence our thoughts. Like if you feel like a failure, you're going to think you're a failure. And when you think you're a failure, you're going to feel like a failure. And when you feel like a failure, you're going to think more thoughts equal to being a failure. And the cycle of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking causes you to say, I am a failure. And the repetition of that process of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking conditions the body to become the mind of that emotion. Now the emotion is stored in the body. Now the body's literally in the past, and the body, as the unconscious mind, doesn't know the difference between the actual experience that's creating the emotion and the emotion that you're creating by thought alone. Your body's believing it's in the same experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So getting people out of the past is the work. So then they wake up in the morning after they reaffirm who they are, and they can't think greater than how they feel. They're in the familiar past. So if you're in the familiar past, you're going to do the things that reaffirm the emotions of your predictable future. So you wake up in the morning, you check your WhatsApp, you check your text, you check your Twitter, you tweet, you check your Facebook, you check your email, you check the news. Now you are really connected to everything that's known in your life. And then you run through a series of routine behaviors. You move around your house the same way you always do. You do all the same things. You go to the same grocery store. You buy the same food. You shop the same way. You do all these, you watch the same TV shows, and people do this for 10, 20, 30 years. Now their body's on autopilot, and their body's dragging them into a predictable future based on what they did in the past. We could actually take their yesterday and lift it up and set it on their tomorrow, which means then they've lost their free will to a program. So now the familiar past and the predictable future is called the known. There's only one place that you have to train a person to be so that they're not in the known, they're in the unknown, and that's called the present moment. So people get very happy being unhappy because they would rather cling to their unhappiness than take a chance in possibility. So stepping into that river and beginning to make a new choice and understanding that uncertainty, that unpredictability is the unknown. Now you're in that river of change, and it is the neurological, the biological, the chemical, hormonal, genetic death of the old self. People say to me, well, if there's uncertainty, I can't predict my future. And I always say the same thing.